Hi, good morning. Today is the 8th of June and the weather is just fine. We have over 25 today here in the Basque Country in the 64. These meditations are on grace, wisdom, and words. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do so and you'll be receiving daily meditations on grace, wisdom, and words. And this channel, it's part of the ministry of the Basque Coast Baptist Church here in the southwest of France, near Spain. So Proverbs chapter 11 verse 12 says, "Whoever derides their neighbor has no sense, but the one who has understanding holds their tongue." So we have been saying that our mouth is going to speak of what we have in our hearts. So there is no, I can wash my mouth, I can purify my lips, but if my heart is not pure, um, it's not going to work. That's why God, in His grace, came down to us in His Son Jesus Christ, and He gave us His Holy Spirit to purify our lives. Because when our heart is purified, we are not going to use our lips to curse our neighbor, but we are going to bless him. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 20. Do you see someone who speaks in haste? There is more hope for a fool than for them. To speak in haste, just to say whatever comes to our mouth, to our heart, mind. But God is wonderful because His work in us is complete, and that's what Paul explains in the book of Romans, and he calls it the ministry of justification by faith. When God comes and brings life into us to us by dying on the cross for us, by baptizing us in His cross and in His resurrection, He has given us this amazing possibility to change. He came to change our lives, to change our hearts. And then, after have explained all that in about 11 chapters, he is going to urge the Christians to practice what they have received. Therefore, he says in chapter 12, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So when transforms us, we will be we it will be able for us to understand and to approve God's will. And part of God's will is to change the way we speak. So we are going to speak like Him and not like the devil. And then in Romans chapter, the same chapter, verses 17, 18, and 21, he says, do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live in peace with everyone. And especially if those people are close to you, like your neighbor, like your cousin, your family. Do not be overcome by evil, overcome evil with good. And we can do so, as I have just explained, because God has done an amazing work in our lives. He has given us His Holy Spirit. In the same book of Romans chapter 5, verse 5, it's written that the Holy Spirit has poured out into our hearts the love of God. The commandments: you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and whatever other commandment that may be are summed up in this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. Love does not harm to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. You're not going to harm your neighbor when you have been transformed by God. And you're not going to deride your neighbor, as Proverbs chapter 11, verse 12 says. You are going to love him. You're going to love her. You're going to love those people who God has put in your life to be your neighbor. And sometimes I believe that God will do so to work in our lives, and He's going to surround us with people who sometimes we won't want to be easy, because we are not easy either, just to work in our hearts. God bless you.